Hey, welcome back, Cloud Scholars. Hope your day is going well. I'm your host, Kieran Tross. In this how-to video, we're going to talk about Azure File Sync, and I'm going to walk you through the setup process. Everything from the storage account, the file share, the Windows server, downloading the agent, creating your sync groups, and then also making sure that those endpoints communicate back. There's a lot that's going to happen in this video. So I want to start off with the PowerPoint slide just to go through the steps. Then, as we go through the steps, reference back to the PowerPoint slide every now and then so you can get a good foundational understanding of what's happening. So the first thing we're going to do is on this diagram, we're going to start from the top left corner. Right there, we have our Azure File Sync. So that's a service that you find in Azure Marketplace. So Azure File Sync is what you'll need, and that's really going to be the catalyst of making sure that your storage accounts and your endpoints communicate with each other. One thing I want you to notice is Azure File Sync, they need to be in the same region as the storage account. So what we're going to do is we're going to set everything up in East US. And that's the region that we're gonna work with for the Azure File Shares and then the Azure File Sync. So the storage account needs to be in the same region. So to the right, you're gonna see what we have is a Windows server, and on that Windows server, it's got to be a 2012, 2019, 2012 R2, 2019, 2022, and a 2016. Right. So those are the servers that the Azure File Agent will work with. And what that does is it's an agent that's on the machine and then communicates back to the sync service so that this way it can replicate that data and they could be in sync with each other. And then a little bit below, you have your sync groups. So your sync groups is, hey, everything within this group talks to each other, and you have each sync group must have a cloud endpoint, and then also you can have multiple server endpoints within your sync group. So a sync group defines a sync topology, basically, right? The server endpoint represents a specific location on a registered server, such as a folder on a server volume. So this is what we're going to set up at the moment. And what I want to do is just really go through the Microsoft documentation with you as well. So the PowerPoint slide talked a lot, but I like to bring up the Microsoft documentation because you're gonna get used to reading through this documentation, and when you first start going through Microsoft documentation, it can be a little bit confusing, but after a while, it starts to make sense. So what we have here is an Azure File Share prerequisites, and as I mentioned, region availability. It says Azure File Share in the same region that you deploy the Azure File Sync. You have to create a file share. It also talks about the setups that you need to have for that file share, the security setups, SMB security settings, and all the other stuff for the storage. So let's go ahead and let's start this how-to video. And one of the things I'm going to do first is I'm going to create the storage account. So let's come here. Let's create a storage account. We'll drop it in RGECUS, which is fine. Scholars storage 1. Hopefully nobody has that name. We're going to leave this to local redundant. We don't really need to spend a lot of money on it. Advanced, we could leave everything the way it is. Network and public, blah, blah, blah. We're good. We don't really need to worry about anything else. We just want to create this storage account. So I'm going to go ahead and create this storage account, and then once this storage account is created, I'll bring it back up, and then what we can do is create the file share on the storage account. Okay, our storage account is created. You see we're in the East US location, and what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to file shares. File shares, and I'm going to click file share, and I'm going to call it, I don't know, my file share 1, and I'll leave this as hot, and I'll just click create. And I'm just going to change this. I don't want it to be 5 terabytes. I'm just going to leave it to 100 gigs, which is fine. You can leave the 5 terabytes. Doesn't really matter. Totally up to you. Okay, so we're good here with the storage account. let's go over here to this other tab, and what I'm gonna do is if you type in here storage, I already have it up, but sync service, you can do that way, or you can just type in Azure File Sync, and you see it says the marketplace. Either way works. This one will bring you straight here. If you went to the other one, you'd have to click on storage sync. So let me go to storage sync service so you can see. There it goes. And I create a sync service. It brings you to the same page, but I just wanted to show you that. So I'm gonna say cloud. Oh, a little ahead of myself, and then I'm gonna call it Cloud Sync 1. And let me change the region, East US, and I'll click create. On that works, so we'll just create that. So I'll let this load up, and then once this is done, we'll come back. Okay, so this is where we are at. So we have our sync service, but we have our file share already created. What we need to do is now create a sync group. So let's go back over to the sync service. So right here you have your sync groups, and this is where you create it, and then you have your registered servers. At the moment we have no registered servers. If you also notice up here, it says to register a server, download the Azure File Sync agent, or you could go to the website and you can get it, and we'll get that to that point later on in this video. So we have our sync groups. We're going to click new sync group, and we're going to call it I don't know, scholars sync 1. So we're going to call it solid sync 1. Let's get it group 1. Let's just call sync group 1, and we're gonna go work off of that, and it's gonna go to that one. You're gonna say select storage account. We're gonna go scholar storage 1, and then the file share, see my file share 1, and let's go click on create. Okay, so now that we have this sync group created, what we need to do now is we're going to have to go onto the server, right? That's the next step, and log into the server that we have set up here. So I have a server already set up here, a server endpoint, and I need to now run the agent on this server. So one thing I want you to notice is, where are we at right now in our PowerPoint slide? Let's flip over and let's see. So now we're at the server. We need to have the agent installed, which is our server endpoint basically, and that is going to help us communicate back to our Azure File Sync. Okay, so now we're logged on to our server. I'm going to give it some time. It needs to load up. This is the first time I'm signing into it. But what I want to do is I want to go back to the Microsoft documentation. As I said before, I like to go through the documentation at the same time because it gives more clarity to somebody who's new to read the Microsoft documentation. So I'm going to go back to the documentation and show you exactly what the next steps are for Microsoft. So here we are, and one of the things it says is prepare Windows Server to use Azure File Sync. And what we need to do is we need to turn off Internet Explorer Enhanced Security Configurations. So let's jump back to the server and let's turn that off. So here we are. Still getting some services that need to start running, but delayed start. Let's start that service. Anyway, we don't have to really worry about that. So we're going to click on local server, and we're going to come here to IE Enhanced Security Configuration, and we're going to turn this off. And just click OK. And then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to come to Microsoft Edge. Start without your data, continue without this data, blah, 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 come on. And what I want to do is we're going to type in up here Azure File Sync Agent. You can add download to it, doesn't matter, but the first one that pops up should be the Microsoft website. We're going to click download, and let's make sure, what server do we have for this one? This is a what? 2022. So make sure you know which one it is. And as I mentioned before, in this video, I said that it's 2019 2012 R2 2016 and a 2022. So make sure you choose the right one and click next, and then we're going to start the download process. So this shouldn't take too long. Okay, there it is. I'm going to open the file. I'm going to prepare for the installation, and what you're going to do is you're just going to click next throughout the whole thing. It's pretty simple to get this installed. Accept, yep. First, the original location it gives you is fine. Yep, if you want to do that, you can change this if you want. I'm just leaving it the way it is, and keep clicking next all the way through. So while this installs, once this is done, we'll come back, just for the sake of time. Okay, so our sync service has finished setting up, or not sync service, the agent install has finished. So once that's done, we can close this out. It should pop up on your screen with the file update. There it is. It's going to take a little while. Let me click on it. Update. Azure File Sync agent on this server is up to date, and we click OK. There's three options here. You're going to go Azure Cloud unless you're in one of these other locations, but Azure Cloud should be fine. And then once you click sign in. Now I want to show you something. For those of you who are using this from a company or a school or work email, you should be perfectly fine. But for everyone else like me, Cloud Scholars Learning at gmail.com, you'll get this error message, and I'll be honest with you, this is driving me crazy, right? So we have to kind of do a quick workaround, and if you go online, you probably won't really find anything for it. It took me a little while to figure it out, but you got to do a quick workaround. Some people this worked for some reason, other people it didn't, but I'm going to go back to the Azure portal, and I'm going to show you what I did to kind of maneuver around this. So we're back at the Azure portal right now, and I'm going to go into Azure Active Directory. And what you're going to do is you're going to create a user. So what I did with this user is I created a user, and I called this user File Sync Admin for now. And what I did with this user is I gave this user a specific role. So let's see, assigned roles. Let's see what pops up here. And what I did was I gave it the Azure role assigned for the subscription, and I gave it owner role. So in order to do that, so if you go into your subscription and you go to IM, once here, role assignments, owner, you could create the account, and then this way you have it as an owner. And what you're going to do is you're going to take this whole information here, and we're going to go back onto the server. And what you'll do is you're going to put the information in here, and you're going to click next. And then you go ahead, put your password in. I should not change it. Now it's going to ask me to authenticate. If you are setting up that role yourself, you're going to have to do some multi-factor authentication. It's just default for Microsoft. I checked my settings. I'm like, well, I don't have an enrollment process enforced, but because you put it as owner, it's going to kind of force that. So this is what I had to do in order for me to get it going, because I have a Gmail account, and for some reason Microsoft did not like that. So here I am, and then it says pick an account, and I click on it, and then now we're able to get in here. So if you're having that same issue, anyone that's having a Yahoo or Gmail or whatever, you may get that error message. But if you do get that error message, fine, just go through what I did. That's a quick fix. It's going to see on Microsoft.com, and it will allow you to. So you see our resource group. So we say RG East US, and then we have Sync 1. That was the name of our sync service, and we're going to click on register. All right, registration successful. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go here, File Explorer. I'm gonna go to C drive, and I'm gonna create a folder, and I'll call it sync up. I'll just say my data. And this is what I want to sync to Azure. Okay, now we are back in the Azure portal, and we need to go back. Since we registered our server, we need to go back to our sync group, which is Cloud Sync 1. And then we got to go to our sync group. It was already there. And we click on sync group. Actually, before I even go there, I want to show you something. Let's go to register servers, and you can see this server endpoint is online, right? So, okay, that's fine. So now we're going to go to sync groups. We're going to click on our sync group, and what we're going to do is add a server endpoint and register servers. You get to choose there. We're going to say what path we're going to go see. Files from the server path have been brought to the cloud via data box. Other means we're not clicking on that option. We don't need that, and we'll just click on create. Okay, all, this does take a little while for it to run. So, you know, probably about a good 4 or 5 minutes for it to sync up, but now we have our server endpoint. So let's hold off. Let's switch back to our PowerPoint and let's see where we're at. So we created the file sync service, obviously, in the file share with the storage account, and we have the agent installed, and what we have is a server endpoint. As I said to you before, you can have multiple server endpoints. So basically what they're going to do is they're going to sync up with each other and keep that same data. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump to our file share, look what's in there, and then I'm going to jump over to our server endpoint as well, make a change, and then see if it loads up. So we're going to say new text document, my text 1. And there we go. Right now we see that my text 1 doc has shown up here within it. I'm gonna go jump right back over to our server endpoint, and let's add some more information. So new, let's do folder, finance, new folder, information technology, new folder. Let's just do another rich text document, hello world. Okay, so now we have 2 folders and 2 documents. Let's go over and let's see what happens over at our file share. Okay, so there we have it. All the documents are showing up. So we have the 2 folders. We have the finance, information technology, and then we also have the hello world, and then we have the my text document as well. So that's how you set up the Azure File Sync service. It's pretty straightforward. If you want, I would tell you if something that you're missing or you didn't get, just watch the video over. I'm pretty sure I tried to make it as simple as possible, but plus with using the PowerPoint deck as well to show you just the steps and what we're going through. So last I want to show you is how to go about deleting all this information, because this will cost you some money. So what you want to do is you could come to this storage account. Obviously you could delete this one, but the server endpoint, the storage service, does take a little bit to delete. So one of the first things you want to do is let's go ahead and unregister this server. That's fine. You just got to put that information in and unregister the server. Once that goes, we're going to come to the sync group. You have to click on the sync group and you have to come over here and you have to delete it. That's going to take a little while. So let's go through and let those 2 things delete. Okay, so once this cloud endpoint is deleted, then you can delete the sync group. If you try to do it any other way, it's not going to let you delete it. So sync group is deleted, and then finally we could come here and then we can delete this sync service. So I wanted to show you just pretty much how you go about deleting the sync service, because some people can get a little confused with trying to delete that. I'm pretty sure you know how to delete a virtual machine and storage account, so I won't really go through that whole setup. But this was a lot to cover in this video. I really enjoyed creating this video for you all. If if there's any questions or something that you just said, I'm having a little hard time understanding this particular portion of the video, or if it's cloud endpoints, please leave a comment. I'm more than happy to respond. And if you need me to, if there's something else in the Azure ecosystem that you're trying to understand, you can go into a certification and you're just curious about, send me a message about that. Perhaps if I have a video about it, you could take a look at one of my other videos, or I could create a new one just for you. So as I always say, thank you for watching these videos. I really appreciate it. I will be leaving the links for the Microsoft documentation in the video description as well. So as always, please hit that like and subscribe button. Here at Cloud Scholars, my goal is to get you from scholar to consultant, and from consultant to expert. See you next time. Thank you.